So, was the Hulk in Spider-Man Brand New Day still nerfed? It's the first thing a lot of fans asked the moment he showed up. Because the MCU has a long, messy history of holding this character back, Brand New Day put Bruce Banner and the Hulk back on the big screen, right in the middle of Peter Parker's world. And almost instantly, the same old argument fired back up. Are we finally getting a strong Hulk, or the watered-down one all over again? And this isn't just nitpicking over numbers. For a lot of fans, the Hulk is the whole reason they fell for this universe in the first place. Seeing him written as unstoppable or written as a punchline changes how the entire franchise feels. So the question is worth taking seriously. First, let's define the word, because people throw nerfed around a lot. A nerfed Hulk is one written to be weaker than he should be. It's not about losing one fair fight, it's about the story quietly capping how strong he's ever allowed to get. And I'll give you the honest answer up front, and then we'll actually prove it. As he's introduced here, yes, this is still a held back Hulk, but the entire point of the movie is to finally change that. To judge that, you first need to know what a fully unleashed Hulk actually looks like. In the comics, that's Worldbreaker Hulk. At his angriest, he is powerful enough to crack a planet. That is the ceiling every single screen version gets measured against. Comic fans know the peak of this. In the World War Hulk story, he comes back from space furious and takes on the entire hero roster at once. The angrier he got, the more unstoppable he became, until stopping him basically meant hitting him from orbit. In the comics, it took a being like the Sentry, with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, to finally go all out with an enraged Hulk. That is the company a fully unleashed Hulk keeps. Nowhere near the calm, pacified man we meet in Brand New Day. And it all comes down to one simple rule that defines the whole character. The madder the Hulk gets, the stronger the Hulk gets. There's no known ceiling to it. Give him enough rage and on paper, he scales right past almost anyone you can name. The problem is that the movies have almost never let him near that version of himself. For most of the MCU, the Hulk has been strong but very clearly kept on a leash. So let's walk through the actual showings. We start back in 2008 with the Incredible Hulk. This version is raw, early, and honestly a little clumsy. He brawls the Abomination through Harlem and wins, but it's a ground level fight. Impressive for the time, not yet terrifying. Then 2012 happens, and the Avengers gives us maybe his best pure showing to this day. He's smashing through Chitauri, catching a falling Iron Man, and going toe-to-toe with a giant space leviathan in the streets of New York. And of course, the moment everyone remembers. He grabs Loki like a rag doll and beats him straight into the floor. 2 words after it, and the whole theater lost their minds. That is peak crowd pleaser Hulk right there. In 2015's Age of Ultron, we get another huge data point. To stop a raging Hulk, Tony has to break out the Hulkbuster. Think about what that means. Iron Man built an entire second suit of armor for the single purpose of surviving one round with an angry Hulk. That fight quietly tells you exactly how strong he is. Tony does not build a Hulkbuster for someone he can just handle. Even losing that brawl, the Hulk still reads as a genuine top-tier physical threat anywhere on Earth. Then comes Thor Ragnarok in 2017, where the Hulk has spent 2 straight years as the champion of Sakaar. He's been winning gladiator matches non-stop, staying angry, staying Hulk the entire time, and loving every second of it. And he goes blow for blow with Thor, an actual god of thunder, in the middle of that arena. He even tears into a giant wolf later on. This is one of the strongest, happiest, most confident Hulks we have ever gotten. And remember, even the movies themselves keep calling him the strongest Avenger. Not one of the strongest, the strongest, full stop. That title is exactly why fans get so frustrated every time a film quietly seems to forget it. So if you're asking which on-screen Hulk was strongest, the real argument is between 2012 and Ragnarok. Those two are the high watermark, and almost everything after them starts quietly pulling him back down. It's also worth remembering the Hulk isn't just one personality. There's the Grey Hulk, colder and sharper, more of a brutal fixer than a mindless monster. That version proves you can have brains and brutality at the same time, which makes the pacified smart Hulk feel like an even bigger downgrade. Because in 2018, Infinity War flips the whole thing on its head. This is where the nerf truly begins. The movie opens with the Hulk charging straight at Thanos, full of confidence, fully expecting to win the fight. And Thanos beats him. Not with the gauntlet either. with his bare hands, cleanly, in about 30 seconds flat. The strongest Avenger gets manhandled, and the entire idea of an unstoppable Hulk takes a very public hit. Then it somehow gets worse for his reputation. For the rest of that movie, the Hulk flat out refuses to come out. Bruce keeps calling him, and the Hulk keeps saying no. He's sulking, benched, and gone at the exact moment he's needed most. That right there is what people actually mean by the nerfed Hulk. One bad night against Thanos, and the strongest one there is spends most of a whole film sitting on the sidelines. Now, the writers did this on purpose. They needed Thanos to look unstoppable, and they needed room for Bruce's personal arc. It wasn't that the Hulk suddenly got weaker, it's that the story chose to hold him down. And that distinction matters a lot here. By 2019 in Endgame, they solved that tension a completely different way. Bruce merges the two sides into Smart Hulk, brains and brawn in one body at last. Calm, in control, and finally at peace with himself after years of war. And he does something incredible with it. He puts on the gauntlet and snaps half the universe right back into existence. That takes staggering durability, no question. But notice what he is not doing anymore. He is not smashing. And this is a sneakier kind of nerf than the last one. Smart Hulk isn't benched, he's pacified. He trades away his rage in exchange for control. And rage was the one thing that ever made him limitless. Now, to be fair to Smart Hulk, he is not weak. He is still stronger than almost anyone else standing in the room. The nerf isn't that he lost his strength, it's that he lost his ceiling. He can't climb anymore, no matter how bad things get. Take away the anger, and you take away the scaling. A calm, collected Hulk has a hard ceiling. He's smart, he's strong, but he's capped. The version that could crack a planet is locked away deep inside him. By the time of the She-Hulk show, that pacified Hulk is living on a beach, sipping drinks, and coaching his cousin. It's the most relaxed and most harmless the Hulk has ever looked. At that point, the nerf is basically complete, which finally brings us all the way to Spider-Man Brand New Day, and the exact question you came here for. Where does this Hulk actually land on the scale? Is he closer to 2012 or closer to that sleepy Sakaar beach? As he's presented, the answer is a little uncomfortable. He shows up as Bruce, inhibitor on, in full Smart Hulk mode. Same calm, same control, same device quietly keeping the angry one switched off underneath the surface. So on paper, going into this movie, this is still the capped, pacified Hulk we have had ever since Endgame. If you're grading the version they introduce, then yes, he is still nerfed. That part is honestly hard to argue with, but here's why that is nowhere near the end of the story. Everything about his setup is built to undo it. The inhibitor, the tension, the warnings around him. The movie is clearly loading a spring, not settling him down. And here's a subtle thing about dropping him into a Spider-Man movie. Peter's world is smaller, more street level, more human, which means an out-of-control Hulk in that world would feel even more massive and terrifying than one more cosmic slugfest up in the sky. The plan is very obviously to bring Savage Hulk back, and that means uncapping the rage for the first time in years. And the second that real rage returns, the scaling comes right back with it. That is how you unnerf a Hulk. An unleashed, uninhibited Savage Hulk finally gets to scale again after being capped for so long. That is the whole difference between a Hulk with a ceiling and a Hulk who simply keeps getting stronger the longer he fights. So let's actually rank it properly. Where does the Brand New Day Hulk sit against the strongest ones we have ever seen? Let's line every version up, from weakest to strongest, and see exactly where this one really falls. Smart Hulk sits low on the chart. The 2012 and Ragnarok versions sit near the top of what we have actually been shown, and Worldbreaker, the true comic ceiling, sits above every last one of them, still waiting to be reached on screen. So here's the honest ranking. As introduced, the Brand New Day Hulk sits near the bottom, right there with the pacified version. He starts this movie ranked below his own 2012 and Ragnarok highs. Contained, capped, and completely calm. Unless, and this is the entire ballgame, the movie lets him rage. If that inhibitor fails and Savage Hulk truly cuts loose, then he stops being the weakest version on this list and starts climbing toward the strongest we have ever been given. And if they truly commit to it, a furious, betrayed Hulk with years of bottled up rage could be the closest we have come to Worldbreaker. Not all the way there, but closer than the MCU has ever actually let itself go before now. And there's an even darker ceiling waiting in the wings. The Maestro, a future Hulk with all of his strength and none of his mercy. If the MCU ever wants a Hulk that is outright terrifying, that is the road an unchecked, endless rage eventually leads down. So here is the final verdict on Brand New Day's Hulk. He is introduced nerfed, no question about it, but he is built very deliberately to finally break out of it. And that is the thing to remember about this entire nerf debate. It was never really about the Hulk being weak. It was always a choice the writers were making. And Brand New Day looks like the movie that finally chooses to undo it. Which means the strongest MCU Hulk might not be behind us, back in 2012 or Ragnarok at all. It might still be somewhere ahead of us, waiting for the exact moment that little device finally fails. At the end of the day, fans don't need him to crack a planet. They just want one honest, unrestrained smash. One scene where the leash finally comes off and the strongest one there is gets to prove it all over again. If you want the full breakdown of how that plays out, along with everything else in Brand New Day, stick around and subscribe. I'm covering every fight, every power level, and every corner of this movie. I'll catch you in the next one.